This runs contrary to comments I made in a recent video, but I want to purge some gear. I want to get out of my storage unit. I'm not going over there that often, and it's just filled with kit that's been sitting in every case for more than a year since I've used it on a project. So first up, Canon C300 Mark I in EF mounts. Got the gold mount power supply for it, 2 internal batteries, charger, AC power, media, and then the viewfinder top handle. So yeah, time to go. Sadly, I think this thing's only worth about 2 rental days as resale value at this point. And then I have a second one, also same except in PL mount. This one still gets some of the Cine accessories, lightweight 15 rods. I repurposed the Cine accessories on the EF to newer cameras. And then I've got 2 Sony EX3s, old school, great cameras. Before the C300 era, these were super popular for corporate video and event work. Interview jobs, B-roll, back of the room conference work is what I was using them for, like once a month up to through the end of 2019. Since then, I kind of fell out of that conference world work, and even back then I was doing interview room stuff or B-roll, and this would be an add-on rental for me if they decided they needed some cameras at the back of the room capturing presentations, and either production, client, or myself would hire someone to operate these. But like I said, they've been sitting. I don't think I've used them. Yeah, I think maybe 2019 was the last time. Time to go. Then I've got an accessory shelf with the stupid eye loops for them, same as the FX9, battery chargers, AC power. I have 1 rocker zoom controller. Going up for sale, Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace. Ran out of welding gas, took my cylinder into a San Antonio welding supply shop, and the guy at the loading dock laughed at me. He's like, "What is that thing? That little bottle? We don't have anything like that." "Oh, it's a California bottle." "No, here, this is the smallest thing we have in Texas," which is this red cylinder. It cost me $450 for the cylinder plus the argon. And I'm going to back off my gas flow from what you see here. And I also got some other notes regarding surface prep on my last video. Thank you for those notes. I did this weld before I got those notes, so I didn't prep the surface. But I now have a stainless steel brush, which I'll use next time. But even without the surface prep, I'm getting a little bit better at putting a bead down with the TIG torch. It's pretty good. I think I have just enough space for my hand above the camera. The electro receiver is touching the handle. Thought I gave myself a little extra space for that, but I guess not. So I may just rethink how I rigged that. Tripod hook is perfect. And I've got this pin, hitch pin that pulls out to stow this for airline travel. If I can do this with one hand. Pin, it's got like a little ball bearing. I was thinking an aircraft style push pin, but they were kind of expensive. They had these at the local Home Depot. So just like a captive hitch pin. I don't know if I'm gonna drill through or let this ride. I kind of like it just sitting on top of this because then you've got this surface area that the pin rests on. Kind of acts as like a little gusset versus the load just being on the hole on both sides. Well, shout out to Dave Moorfield in Orlando. Watching you sell and ship a lens motivated me to put some more kit up for sale, so I just sold my C300. It's headed to Florida. This is the EF mount version.
It's a little too hot. It's melting.
Okay.
So go down to like 60.
Yeah. One week until my next booking, so I'm going to pull the mattress out of the van and work on getting the side panels insulated and possibly putting together a center partition. It's 8 p.m. An hour ago, I booked a shoot tomorrow morning in Austin. So I've been stalling on unloading my airline stuff and resetting it back to the van. which I just did. I just picked off what I need for tomorrow because I had let's see, 7-day travel job, corporate doc, that it went away. I think my producer priced it too high or I was too expensive. I think it was one of those, we're still going to shoot it, but just do it differently. So anyway, I was stalling on all of this because I didn't know what my next thing was going to be, local or travel. Turns out it's local. Afternoon call time up in Austin, so I was able to get a personal one-on-one training session in with my son, trying to get him fit and get him to the point where he can start pushing plates around. Just outside the JW Marriott, which I've worked at a few times, corporate work. Got street parking right here. I'm there for the rest of the night if need be. I just circled the block. My correspondent's staying in the hotel here, so she was hoping for a just generic cityscape for a live shot. Our first one's at, it's 1320 right now. Our first live shot's 1420, 1500, and 1530. And then who knows, we may be doing, I imagine we're going to do more right into the evening, probably right up and through the 10 o'clock shows. Maybe not. I really don't know. But anyway, this is the winner. We're going to set up on the gravel right there, doing a single live shot stand up with this as the backdrop. Let's see. Probably something like that. Chose this spot. Well, I had 3 options, but this one, probably the second best view on the block. Congress and second is a better view of the city, but it's really heavy traffic and we're going to be up during rush hour, and there's also a lot of pedestrian traffic and we'll be on the sidewalk. There was a little area off to the side, but still this is nice and quiet over here. And I have a bench to chill on when I'm not working. These vlogs are on a few weeks behind real time, so I may be mixing things up, but I think this is my first outing with the new cart. Wanted to test it out with the tripod hanger and the camera clip, even though I really didn't need a cart for the setup, only being a half block away. I think I spent more time putting stuff on the cart than hand walking it over there, but at the same time, from a security perspective, it means I'm not leaving anything unattended as I do trips back and forth. So setting up here with the live view on the tripod, getting framed up, checking in with the correspondent. It's the first time we've worked together in a little over a year. So I got chatting there while I was teching the camera, and here's where I failed. I like to get the camera set to all the record specs the night before the shoot, so I'm not cycling menus on set because of exactly what just went down. As I got my head in the menus is when I run in to do introductions, and I kind of blew it. On the Sony FX9, the little scroll wheel has this tendency to like double or triple select. Sometimes you want it to click 1 forward and it clicks 2. Well, that happened to me and I didn't catch it, and this shot was I intended it to be in SDR mode, and it actually double clicked over to HDR. Now I had my 7-inch free world set up. You can see it here facing the correspondent, bottom of frame. And picture looked great there, and it also looked good on my viewfinder. So obviously the viewfinder retone maps for HDR, and I guess my free world does as well, because when I looked at the off-air return on my iPhone, to my horror,
yeah, so Elizabeth, as you mentioned, he turned himself in, but thankfully
I called in the feeds to let him know I needed to reboot the camera and pop on a fresh battery. And the tech said to me, "Hey, you're going to white balance before we go, right?" I said, yeah, definitely. And I was thinking, oh, that's weird. I mean, I guess I'm like 300 Kelvin warmer than what it white balanced at. Maybe it just looked too warm. But now I realize they were looking at this kind of green and low contrast image, and that's why they asked me to white balance. So I should have been more alert. I was thinking, wow, that's kind of a keen eye that they noticed I was cheating the white balance to warm up skin tones a little. But anyway, that wasn't the case. I was in this silly HDR mode. Now that I'm looking at playback here, it doesn't bother me as much as it did when I was standing there on the sidewalk, horrified. I really only pick up on it in the 2-shot, the box with the anchor and field correspondent. Everyone was happy except for me, and I guess that's a good thing. It's a longtime late friend of mine, Jeff Granberry, used to always say, he's like, hey, if you're mildly satisfied, your client should be ecstatic. And we only did 2 or 3 hits and got wrapped out of there early. I spent more time driving than working. I like those days. And I'm taking this opportunity to do what I should have done long ago, which is save a profile on the camera specifically for this client and doing live shots. And I've since modified it a few more times, ratcheting up the detail and playing with the knee and dropping the pedestal a bit. Just try to get the FX9 to look more like a broadcast ready color profile. Each time I hand load and unload this van package, I really miss my old Transit Connect setup with the 8-foot folding ramp and 2 preloaded carts. I could get in and out of a location in like 2 minutes. But that's the trade-off, to have a bunk and a sink and a temporary bathroom in the van. It's just the nature of being based in Texas now instead of Southern California. There's a lot more windshield time. First night of a busy week, Sunday evening, about 2100. Just drove into Houston. I'm staying in an airport right outside George Bush International Airport. I'm working at the airport tomorrow. I thought it was gonna be hot, and it's actually kind of chilly. I think I'm gonna have to run the heat tonight. I was gonna do a hotel because of the heat, but we had this cold front come in. So truck stop it is. When you're in the city here, parking's not free. So I'm in one of the bobtail spaces, and there were only 3 available. This place, and then I think I saw 2 trailer size spaces. Pretty crowded. So I'm good until 3 p.m. tomorrow, but I'm not gonna stay here that long. I'll probably be out of here at 7 or 8 at the latest. 10 o'clock is my call time. So yeah. Oh, I made some updates to the truck. This will be my first night on the cot size narrow twin. I put this in so I'd have more space for gear on the back half of the platform. I also still think I want to raise this platform up about 3 inches, which makes stowing C-stands. I can put the C-stands complete down below on my rack. And then also that new on-stage cart I bought will store vertically. I only need like another 1.5 inches of vertical to get the on-stage in there vertically, standing on end. But yeah, we'll try this out tonight. I wanted a thicker because I think this is that 6 inches? Yeah, 6-inch thick. It's like 2 layers of the cool foam, and then the rest is regular foam. I can feel the seam right there. But when I sit up on this, my hips bottom out into I can feel the plywood below. But when I'm laying flat, it seems okay. I wish I had a thicker one, but I couldn't find that in a narrow twin. I think it's like, I forget now, maybe 6 inches wider, but I wanted to get this mattress in so I can use these frames for a sheet of plywood right here as a cargo partition. This is slid forward a bit. So I can slide this over so that it actually lines up perfect when the mattress is on the edge. All right, enough rambling for now. See you in the morning. Bush International Airport. Of course, I don't fit in the parking structure. So predictable. So just waiting on instructions. I think we're meeting up here in this lobby, but pretty confident we're starting in that round building over there, and that's got external parking. I think it's just staff with a gate, so I gotta get someone to guide me in there and authorize it. Set up for interviews and B-roll today, FX9 with primes for the interviews, and then FX3 gimbal for B-roll. So I've got everything that comes out of the side door, batteries, stands, a couple LED panels, 7-inch monitor, audio package in these 2 soft tool bags. And then I'm gonna try my new on-stage cart for this one today, and I'll load stands, 300D, and whatever, sandbag stuff out of the back door onto the cart once we get parked. Camera's built without a lens, ready to go. Camera specs set, card formatted. This was another short notice booking. I got the message Friday evening, and the shoot was a 10 a.m. start on Monday. And this came from my YouTube channel, covering for a DP that's based in Los Angeles. Thank you so much for the gig. They had I think it was a 3-day production, 2 days in Los Angeles, and then they added 1 day in Houston, and he was unavailable, so he sent it my way. And we talked about notes and look and lighting and package, and I worked to match what they were doing on the other end. So it was 5 or 6 interviews in this hotel conference room, and I wanted to do a different setup for each interview, but they actually had them scheduled back to back, and everyone got in early. They're all teed up right outside the room waiting to do their interviews. So we went 2 or 3 interviews and then flipped the eye line, but same background for everybody. And then I had limited control over the overhead lighting. I was able to turn some of them off, but some others were on a 24-hour unswitched. So in that case, that's why I've got the white overhead above the subject. And all these interviews were on the Sigma 85mm Art Series Prime, and I believe they used the same 85mm Sigma Art in LA. I'm sure you've noticed by this point that the room ambient lighting is tungsten and my key is daylight. My Aperture 300Ds are the D model, and I realize now I don't have any gel on my truck. So I'm going to order some 1/4 orange gel, and I'll cut it to size to fit in the soft box, and then a couple other sheets to clip on barn doors. I have Gemini 2x1s in my truck, and I wanted to run back there and just switch the key source out. Did not have time. First person needed to go earlier than scheduled, so I had to just kind of run with what we had. Fortunately, the glass in the background was rendered a little bit cooler. Checking out the options in the Flight Crew store. I'm thinking I may pick up one of these carry-on pilot bags. I'm thinking they got to be a lot more durable than the consumer-grade Samsonite luggage. I got a year out of my Samsonite roller that carries my gold mount batteries and laptop, and already the stitching is blown out and it's failing. And I think that was like a $300 case. I also like that this pro-grade stuff has got the straps for training cases together. My first 2 opportunities between interviews to run to the restroom, and both times the cleaning crew was in there and it was unavailable. I seem to have that kind of luck at hotels. So we wrapped all the interviews. It's lunchtime. Run to the restroom, get back in the room, and the hotel staff's in a panic because they've booked the room, and I was supposed to be out of it, I guess, 30 minutes prior. So it was the panicked, get out, GTFO, now. I picked up this cart and the mods I've been making to it specifically for airline travel work as a checked cart, and then to be able to roll in and out of a hotel with a built camera and tripod, leaving cases behind in the hotel room for the duration of being on location. But now that I've used it a couple times locally, I'm kind of digging it for local work with the tool bags and soft luggage. When I built out the back end of my van, I had no intention of carrying C-stands. I despise C-stands. They belong to the grip department. The after lunch half of our day was shooting B-roll in a live airport environment. On both sides of the security checkpoint, we had some staged B-roll and then just some unstaged content. Did it all on the FX3 on the gimbal. This is my first go with my Nucleus N connected. Now I got all the proper plates to make it work. I've grown accustomed to using my Pocket 6K Blackmagic, which has got a bigger screen for manual focus. And I was struggling even with the peaking on the FX3. It's just not quite big enough for my aging eyes. Even though I had LASIK and 20/20 vision, it's just that close focus. That screen is so close to my face, I'm having trouble. And I don't want to start wearing readers. So I think I'm going to throw like a 5 or 7 inch on the gimbal. It has been 30 minutes since we wrapped here at the airport. I'm still at the airport. I don't know what's going on. Like Houston traffic. Even at the airport, it's terrible. I got my batteries charging. We only used 4 bricks today. And one of them, it doesn't think it needs to charge. Shoot day went from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. with a sit-down lunch in the middle. And now I'm making the 5.5-hour drive from Houston, Texas to Del Rio, Texas for a 0800 call time in Bracketville. I've got a hotel in Del Rio, and I got in at 1:15 in the morning, got a little bit of sleep, and we'll go through that rundown in the next vlog.